Go. All right. So, hello and welcome to practice playtest of Apocalypse World Burned Over with the hard zone of Starfall, and powered by the Apocalypse system. And it's set in a post-war xenoformed Earth. And so I'm getting more practice running Apocalypse World Burned Over, as well as sharing this hard zone that I created that was inspired by some IP. And my name is David MK, he, him pronouns. And we have three amazing players we're all from the Open Hearth community. And so a little bit about myself. I've been with the formerly Gauntlet community for a little bit. And now I'm just running a bunch of games this week to get prepared to run them for Gen Con online. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Joe. I'm he, him. I'm Joe. David and I played, I think we did a Bounty of the Week, maybe.
The one that I remember most clearly, and I don't think this was the first time, was Against the Dark Conspiracy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that was my very first Gauntlet
And
slash open.
that might have been our first time playing together.
Yeah, because you were wearing your Hawkeyes hat, and I'm like, are you in Iowa too?
We're
That's
both in Iowa. Yes. Cool. Um, and then we have Lloyd.
Hi everyone, I'm Lloyd. I'm not in Iowa. My job is, as it has been for the last 20 years
You're
of
not in
playing
Iowa?
roleplay. I know, right? Everyone else in Iowa but me. My job is, as it has been for the last 20 years, to cyberbully David into all
What?
the games that they like.
So, just to be fair, we've only known each other for almost 10 years.
It feels like 20.
If, oh, yeah, yeah,
It
there you
feels
go.
like 20 to me.
I was just
Are you
thinking
sure it's
about that.
not 20? Are you
No,
sure it's only
I'm
10?
serious. I
Are you
it
sure? I
it
feel it's more
was
than
it
10.
was it was near the end of no, wait, it is more than 10. It was in the beginning of 2013. Um
See?
Good gravy.
yeah. So it is actually over 10 years. I was
Actually, I think it's way before that because it's before the Olympics in 2012. You were the first online game I played.
Really?
So I'm gonna say it was
Oh,
2011
oh my
at
gosh, I think you're
least.
right. That was before I think you're right now that I yeah. Okay. Yeah, my memory's bad. Yep. All right, so fewer than 20 years, more than 10.
15 years almost.
Okay, that's
We'll
good.
call it 15, be nice.
All right. Um, and then we have Brandon.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I've been doing Gauntlet now open hearth things for 3 years, I think, and mostly loving it.
All right, mostly loving it. That's great. Well, thank you all for, and Brandon, you play tested some other games of mine. Thank you. And
I did, yes.
yes. All right, so let's go ahead and continue here. So normally if this wasn't a playtest, I probably wouldn't record character gen and that sort of thing, but I want to review it and make sure that it's working as I move forward with this. So we've done Lines and Veils, um, and let's see, we have some character, and we're going to stick with these four playbooks because I think these would work the best as sort of default characters if this was like a show. And so we have the Lawmaker, the Medic, the Undaunted, and the Gear Cutter. And so this game operates under the assumption that there was a war after some aliens, extraterrestrial life, not from Earth, basically left their home and came to Earth. And they didn't know it was populated. Their intent was to xenoform it, to make it hospitable to them. The people on Earth didn't take kindly to that. There was a war. No one definitively won. So there's sort of an uneasy peace. A good chunk of the Earth was xenoformed. So there's pieces that look like what we might expect, our world to look like, say 20 or 30 years from now. But there are other pieces that are exotic or not as intended even for these visitors. And so we're living this sort of like broken up world the former governments are no longer operating as they were. There's two main sort of groups, a human-centric one and an alien collective one. And your story is going to be focused on your town that's in between other surviving towns. So it's kind of a frontier setting feeling to it. And so your town is made up of a variety of people from these different cultures who may not like each other, but have come together in order to survive and build a future together. So in your own town, there's going to be people who are vying for power potentially, but at the end of the day, if you don't work together, your town's probably not going to survive the unnatural and human and alien motivated pressures going on. So we have these 4 character types, and I'd like for each of you to choose, one of them. There's 3 players, so there's going to be one that's not chosen. And so we currently have a human pre-Starfall. That means that they're going to be probably at least 30 years old, right? Because Starfall was about 20 years ago. Then we have a human mutant, so someone who was altered when the xenoforming process happened. Then there's an alien post Starfall, so someone who sort of grew up in this changed Earth. And then a pre Starfall alien, someone who came here who has that memory of home in the voyage over here. And there's 2 different classes of alien, if you would. One's the organic, kind of what we would think of like from Star Trek and other shows, biological. And the other one is one that's created. You could think of them as like a droid or some sort of synthesis of a different form of life that's been created.
Yeah, crystalline form or something like that.
Yep.
Even.
Yep. Yep. So the picture I have here is ceramic based, but these are just placeholders. You're going to make your version of whatever we have here. So does anyone have a strong preference?
I've played the Medic and Gear Cutter books before, so I guess my preference would be to play one of the others and maybe the Lawmaker.
Awesome.
I was thinking of the Lawmaker, but I'm happy to switch off to anything else that would count.
Okay.
I was thinking medic or gear cutter, but medic would be first. So,
all right. I think Joe, take that medic. Mutant human.
All right, so let's just be frank about it. Hey, Brandon, how sold are you on Lawmaker?
It's I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's kind of a medium challenge, but it's not. If let me think a moment. I'm just looking at the Undaunted. Go ahead. Especially if you have cool, interesting ideas for loss.
Oh no, I was only asking because if you were sold on it, I'll happily take the Undaunted.
Well, it's a question of, do you have cool ideas for laws? Right?
No,
Because
not off the top of my head. I can't just make that up on the spot. Brandon, you can't put me on the spot like this. Of course, for loss. I don't know. I haven't played the character yet.
I understand.
I feel like
the Lawmaker is a heavy lift, and I acknowledge that for myself too.
Yeah.
Because they have to make up the rules. Yep. And the question is whether do you want to do that, or do you want to let me do that?
I am more than capable of making up rules that on the spot, if I need to, that will absolutely fuck us all over. But if you are sold on playing it, it is entirely, you can absolutely have it. I will gladly take the other class.
I am not sold on it.
All right.
I just wanted to play one of the ones I hadn't played.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Is that
in
cool?
that case, I will take the Lawmaker.
All right. right? And Brandon, which one are you gonna go with?
Undaunted then.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to close the gear cutter. All right, let's get this properly here. Oh, there we go. Awesome, great. Um, so let me just go over one more thing here. So there's the heritage and then there's the insight related to that. And that's when we talk about the town. You're going to choose from some pick lists when we get to it. So they're not things that are necessarily your character focused, though they could be. They're things that the player is choosing that would be an interesting theme or question that might come up in the gameplay through your town. Okay, so do all of you understand how to do an Apocalypse World character creation about choosing things? Okay. All right. And then for scavenge, you can choose A or B. There's a drop down menu. So whichever one seems interesting to you. One additional thing that's at the very bottom, it may not come up today because this is only a 3-hour session, is something called touchstones. And this idea has come up in my brain from other games and from just thinking about this game. So we may not play long enough for it to make sense. Um, but it's there sort of a narrative slash mechanical option that you can use. By narrating something, you can mark it off once per session and narrate to raise a result by one level or to avoid being taken out for one action. So you don't have to generate anything right now. It can be on the spot.
Sorry, could you say that again just one more time?
Yeah, for the touchstones, those are at the bottom of the character keep around row 82. And they're kind of like a callback, or there's some other games like in Brindlewood games, I think, where you narrate something and that kind of helps you or keeps you from being taken out. You
Hmm.
do not have to put anything in there right now. It may not come up in this session. So I think the medic is the only one that starts with some additional psychic ability at a 1.
Actually,
And then go ahead and let me know in the chat if you think you're done working on your character.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I have the leadership ticked. What does leadership do?
Let me see if that's on here. Leadership.
Leadership has a move if you order your game to do something out of the ordinary.
Let me, yeah.
It's in moves. It's one of the
Yeah.
specials
Gotcha.
moves.
Yeah, this is a character keeper from the Gauntlet that it doesn't feel like it's complete in some ways. Like I'm not sure where some things are. I'm still getting used to it. So thank you very much.
I got it. I see it. All right, cool.
Yeah. And then the wealth is also listed in there too that you have.
Like hard's important. The sacrifices you have to make for this game. God damn it. Fuck it.
Okay. I'm going to. Some of this had moves on it from a different kind of hard zone, like a primordial one. So there might be some conflicts. Move that. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need this in here. Let's put this over here. Hmm.
Quick question.
Mhm.
I have a bunch of holding options. What do you suggest? What are the options for those? And three surpluses and two wants. Is there a list I need to look at?
Yeah,
Or is it
so
stuff I just come up with?
there is a list. Your holding include these things. Let me see if there's something more on this sheet here. Lawmaker. Let's go to that one. Improvements. Bidding. Holding. So is that not listed there? Oh my goodness. Okay. So let me paste this into the chat for expediency.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And then if it doesn't work, I can maybe screen share. It's too long. Okay, I'm gonna put in pieces of.
I can always just go look up the sheet itself. I'll probably have it listed in
Yeah,
there,
it's
right?
the holding on page 24. Yeah, it just will not let me paste. It's too big.
It's all good. In the bend over sheet, right?
Yeah.
I have the playbooks and ref sheets. I'll try that. If it doesn't have it,
Yeah.
I'll get the full PDF. I'll just buy it
Okay.
online. Fuck it.
Okay. This is the version from 2021. Hey, Brandon. For your children, um, are they the same kind of alien species as you? Or are they different, or are they mixed with
They
human?
are they are they are a whole gaggle of people that don't look like each other, as you
Awesome.
might guess from their names.
Yeah. Feel free to either now or later put in a description of, if they're
Yeah.
human or mutant or whatever. Sounds good.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then once you've gotten your character name and pronouns, go ahead and update your rename yourself in the Zoom call if you're able to. Lloyd, does your character go by a title like sheriff or captain or something?
Just Callow.
Just
She
Callow?
has no, just Callow.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go with title. Fuck it. She's that vain. We'll call her. You know what? She's called the boss.
So far, we have two generic Earth names: the boss and Doc.
Sounds good to me. That's what we need. Who's in charge? I'm the boss. Who's stealing? The dog. Done.
Wait,
Want anything else to get shot?
you got to change your first name to Charles.
Why Charles?
Charles is in charge.
Oh
It's
my
a
God, come
really
on.
bad joke.
I'll tell you one thing I'm stuck on. I've got my 3 laws. The one thing I'm stuck on is like a law everyone knows not to break. What is the range of that?
I think it's just up to the table.
All right, in that case.
So, like, I guess, do you have an idea for that? Or do you want to wait and see if something comes up during play?
I do actually, and I'd like to ask everyone. I'd like to ask everyone's permission. I'd like mine to be no real names here. Nobody goes by their real name. We only know you by an alias. When you come here, you wipe everything else. As basically that everything that's in your past is wiped clean when you enter here. You come as a clean slate, you get a name, and that's it.
Mm.
But it was one of those things I have to ask everyone else to make sure they're okay with it. Because we've got a doc
Yeah.
and a boss. I'm
Yeah,
like, all right, let's do it. No real names. You call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, and that's what you're called from now on.
Okay, so there's like a. All right, I don't want to get too far ahead of this because I want to make sure everyone's. Is everyone done with their character?
I think so. I mean,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Joe?
I think so.
Okay. So before we start play, I think it'd be great to introduce the characters. And let's go in the character keeper order from left to right. So we can start with Lloyd's character, then Joe's, and then Brendan's.
I'm the boss. I rule this tiny little home that we have. I have spent the last year making it into the god tier place that we stay, despite all the trials and tribulations that's come from it. And I rule it because I'm the runner of the pits, which is a place where people can come and do pit fighting from all across the area. we don't have any. The only law we have that can't be broken is that no everyone who writes here has what's called the names don't matter, who they were don't matter. They start afresh. They can prove themselves in the pits. They can do whatever they want. I take people in if they have a good skill. I take people in if they find the pits to make sure they're all right. And I take people in if I for some unexplained reason decide I think I like them a lot, which are the three things I go for. I'm only here to keep myself happy, and I don't care what other people think. As long as the gears keep running and the wheels keep turning, this place will keep running for as long as I can make it. When things get bad, I have a gang. I am happy to rock up and take things down because I believe that when blood spilled, blood must be paid. What's it? Oh, sorry, what's the wrong called? Hang on. It's I wrote it down. Hang on. Wait. Blood spilled is blood owed. And finally, the one thing that we are 100% better at than anyone else in the entire area is water. We have a good source of water here, and water is never free. That's how we earn our keep on the other people living next to us. You can find better water than here. So that's how I end up keep running the pits and keeping the money coming in. There's also like betting rings and things around that, but that doesn't matter to me. Long as the water keeps flowing and I'm in charge of it, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. So I'm Doc. I think Lloyd's law is perfect because that was exactly going to be Doc's background anyway. She's just Doc. Nobody knows that nobody knows anything about her. So I think that was we were reading each other's minds there when that was happening and stuff. She is haunted by something in her past which drives her to help people with no ask of anything. She's very doesn't care who you are, what. She's going to help you and heal you no matter what. So I have a refuge, and so we should talk about this because I think it's gonna, which is cool, gonna put us into some interesting conflict. But the refuge, one of the things I chose was a reliable source of fresh water. So
Oh.
so I think that might be an interesting thing there. A garden of green growing plants providing healthy food and simple medicines, a security system of some kind. And honestly, what I was actually thinking of was like just very simple little things like not like a tripwires in the sense of like booby traps, but mostly just like if somebody who's walking around in there, it create like wind chimes go off or whatever, right? Like, so just that like presence is known in the refuge. And then access to unexplored underground chambers, ancient, echoing, and mysterious. And my thought is that the refuge is around these chambers, and the water is probably maybe either an underground spring or something which feeds the gardens and everything like that. So I don't know, anything else.
Oh, I don't have a good sense of what your characters look like.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention
No,
that.
that's fine.
I the left side of my body is entirely prosthetic. I have a prosthetic arm, prosthetic eye, and a prosthetic leg. Probably from an accident I had, and I lost this half of my body entirely. Most of the stuff on there is gone. My teeth, like only like this half is fake. This half is also real. Something must have happened to me when I was younger. Dark hair, dark skin. That's about it really. Oh, also like wielding weapons and mostly in rags, but I don't know most of stuff.
Okay. And for Doc?
I think I'm just going with this picture. I'm just going to lean into what you already had there. I like the haunted kind of look, that faraway look that's there. So it fits kind of what I was thinking. So
okay. And Brandon, your character.
Hi. So I'm playing but a lot of people call me, but the humans tend to call me Michael because that is hard for them to say. It involves a couple of sort of throaty clicks that the Tolek, which is the kind of alien that I am, can do. Looks wise, I am big and broad shouldered, with green horny skin, clawed hands, and a bony jaw. So, and I look like a combat form. But I don't act like one. I have a strangely musical voice and a very gentle manner. Imagine, like uh, a tiger, taking care of babies. Is the aura. I think with permission from Lloyd, I think I was here when you made this town.
I would like to counteract that. I think not only were you here when you made this town, you're the reason why nobody uses your names. I was so embarrassed not being able to pronounce your real name. I made an off-cuff law about not pronouncing names and only using aliases, thinking it'll make me feel better about messing your name up. And then I realized that actually that's a really good way to make things work. And then from then on, like, no names. That's Michael. I'm the boss. That's Doc. And now no one needs to pronounce your actual name, and we'll all just call you Michael and be happy with it. Would that work for you, Michael?
It works fine. I don't have any difficulty when somebody mispronounces my name, but they can use the alias.
I know, but I feel bad.
No, that's fine. And so I was here, and I had a tiny little nothing holding. And what I've continued to do is basically to have the equivalent of an orphanage. So I have a small garden that's self-supporting, and I take in refugees. I mean, who can't make it on their own yet, or can't make it on their own at all, or can't make it on their own yet. And woe betide anybody who lays a finger on any of them. Now, some of them have proven to be, sometimes I take in someone who is too unruly, and then what fate decides, fate decides. But some of mine are my children, which are of every imaginable strain. So there's some humans, there's some mutants, and there's there's a Tolek. Were they adapted to this world? I mean, they're good workers. They can do something, but they're not the type who would be capable of staying alive and healthy without help. They all contribute something. This is a harsh world. Everybody has to work and do something useful and to be contribute. But there are broken individuals, and there are people who basically are still children, even though they're physically adult, because of the nature of Starfall. And the xenoforming and things like that. Not everyone, especially some of the mutants, turned out they kind of adapted poorly.
Nice.
And so Miklo acknowledges the boss's laws, of course, to be here. But they are very much take no shit. And Miklo prefers he or she, if you use a pronoun, but they don't mind they. The Tolek are brooders, and the differentiation between the sexes is much more difficult to figure out than it is with humans. Theoretically, one or one of the two involved in a mating pair becomes a brood mother and hatches out enormous numbers of eggs. But given how few Tolek there are in this world, and the conditions for breeding are very poor for us, that's not likely to happen anytime soon.
Awesome. So
And we have, I'm sorry, and we have big clawed hands because we are adapted to burrowing. I dig my garden with my hands. But we have tools there for other people who don't have that adaptation. The picture is very much on. They're if this were pre-Starfall, they'd be kind of hard to look at. But as it is post-Starfall, people are used to these things, I imagine.
awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move. We've got a couple more tabs to go through. One is the locations, NPCs, and stuff, right? And so in Burned Over, you usually pick one or more of these locations. For today, we're just going to pick one for time. And so it doesn't mean that these other things don't exist, right? It just means that this is for this episode or session. This one might be of importance that we might explore in the story. So we've got the orchard, the pit, the scar, the reef, the park. Oh, this should be 5. The vault and Old Town. There we go. And so does anyone have one of these that stands out to you as something just of interest? And there's hang on. Why is there that's weird. One,
So
two.
the one that's most, I mean, I love them. I think these are amazing locations. But the one that strikes me as perhaps the most interesting to deal with right now is the scar.
Sure.
But that's my vote.
Let me put these here.
I have to go to Scar.
I'm in on Scar.
All right, cool. So the Scar is a well-known war-torn former battleground and cemetery and memorial site for many. Supposedly, ghosts and Elides, or soul eaters, are said to roam there, and you'll often see mourners who are escorted um, by either mercenaries or whoever, someone who's going to protect them. It might just be family members through these areas. So it's kind of considered by some to be not safe. Some people think it's a superstitious sort of thing, and there's a monument there that just sort of signifies if you didn't know what you were looking for and you were in a hurry, you probably wouldn't realize that this place has this history to it. Um, I would say that there's a fair amount of it that is not xenoformed. And then there are some small areas that are in this particular area. So there might be a debate in your town about whether or not you should allow for more of the xenoform sort of vegetation and creatures to be there or not. So that may or may not be a point of tension in your town. Okay. And then the town tab has a few things in it. So there's a little bit of information about it that we can fill out as much as we want. Some discussion of species, and then the insights that we'll get to in a moment. And then there's a territory map. So this is kind of zooming out, roughly to scale. It's mostly like relational. So we have. I want you. Who chose the scar? Was that Brandon?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Joe on this territory map, where in terms of you can see the hexes, right? So in relationship to our town, which hex that's surrounding us, which one do you think that scar is in relationship?
So do we want it to be close, do you guys think? Or I mean, there was like is it something that we kind of maybe have some, I hesitate to use with the word control over or influence over? What do you guys think?
Let's keep it close.
I think I would, what makes sense to me most is that it's not adjacent exactly, but we're the closest town.
Okay.
So in other words, so travelers to the Scar come through here. This is kind of the spot from which they make, because you have pilgrimages, right, and mourners
Mhm.
that go there, and so they come to our town. So it's like the Scar is, I mean, the Scar is not a desert, but it's a little bit of sort of like the Shrine of Makkah
Well,
Plus,
feeling.
tourism is great for me because that brings more people to the pit.
well, how about
So
if,
like two spaces out or something like that, where
yeah, how about if we took like the, what do you feel about putting it like straight to the east? Um, 2 hexes in that river, like having a river flow through it.
I think
I'd
that's great.
rather I'd rather it went 2 spaces to the west than 2 spaces to the east. So
The
it's
one
further
right,
away from Atlantis and Nebula.
okay, so the one right like above the river, or
Above the river. So we still have the river touching it.
yeah,
All right.
okay. That
I'm gonna
works.
I'm gonna save this. Is this what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So number three is
The,
the
the other the other reason that we don't want it to be next to it is because of the Soul Eaters and things like that. It's like
those those are
that'd be
rumors.
no,
Come
I
on.
understand, but people, it might be disturbing for people in the town. No, people want to feel like they're safe.
Sure,
Hmm.
sure, of course. Um, so on the far right, we have a sort of a more of a town map, and these are just starting points, right? So obviously we don't have to have a bakery or a bank or whatever, but this is just sort of filling some stuff in. What I think
Totally.
would be interesting is I think all three of you, right? The sheriff's office, we can keep the same one on here if we want for convenience. Is number 14 for the lawmaker. Does that work for you, Lloyd?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So I'm just going to put the boss's office.
Nice. Like it, like it, like it.
All right. So that's 14. And is there a location that's already defined that you think would work for either of you? It feels kind of like for Doc, something more remote makes sense, like either 19 or somewhere else, and we can add or change something around here.
Yeah, so I was either thinking 19 seems pretty remote, so I was thinking something like maybe 6 or 1. Like I like that, those ones that are in the
On the
hills.
edge.
Yeah, yeah. Which would you prefer?
Um,
Because like if we just for like for now,
right.
one is bank, 6 is saloon. Which if we had to just keep those as is, which do you think yours is would be closer to?
Well, I don't want to get rid of the saloon, so let's take the bank.
No, we can,
So,
and we can always add something to it
right,
too.
right.
I mean, it's totally fine. These are just placeholders.
Well, then I like maybe 6.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the saloon. We're going to add 23. And what do you think this would be called? Refuge or what?
Um, maybe we'll just call it the, yeah, let's just call it the refuge. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and pop that in there. Okay. And I'll just kind of put it generically over here. And if we need to move it, we can do that. All right. And then we have an orphanage, right?
It's not called an orphanage.
Okay. So do you what do you think it would be called?
It's called the Garden.
The garden? And where do you think that might be?
Um, let's see. Where does our water come from?
Um,
We
We're
there's
gonna have
we have a river. We have a
yeah,
river,
there's
obviously.
a river
yeah.
that comes through
Okay,
this
so it's
town.
a
Yeah.
so the water is low. So the water is low rather than, I mean, I imagine that there's some springs and such
Yeah.
coming from the
And
hills.
and given also that this has a history of being a town before, there's probably some remaining infrastructure like pipes and things too.
Well, that's
So
true.
yeah.
Um, I think it's over in the. Well, let's see. I mean, you've got some things with lots of little buildings,
Mhm.
and you have something that looks bigger. Um, I'd say it's probably number 2.
The stables.
Yes,
All right. So I'm gonna get rid of the
and with,
stables. What?
and there is a stables.
Oh, so we want to keep the stables?
Well, I mean, there's a stables that's part of it.
Oh, okay.
We have we have animals.
All right. So I'm gonna do this stable slash the garden. Does that work?
Yes. Probably one of the. I would say, yeah, it's the. I mean, this is the garden, but we put up animals
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
for other people because we're used to animal husbandry, and so doing that is a good way to bring in some barter.
Yeah.
Which we have to have being in a larger community. I mean, we could get by on our own, but um, you know, things need fixing and stuff like that.
Sure.
And sometimes, you know,
Yeah. So there's a on the map. There's looks like there's a structure a little bit southeast. Is that okay to say that that's kind of like where you live? Does that work?
yes,
Okay. Cool. All right.
yeah.
Awesome.
The garden is. I mean, that looks like a big open field. The garden is hedged around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not fortress or anything like that, but it has definite boundaries. Um, uh, which are, I imagine, are like vined, mostly vined plants, hedges, thorn bushes,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of different things. But everybody knows where the boundaries are,
Great.
because and visitors are expected to come through the building, not to wander onto the grounds. That's a bad idea.
Great. Great. Okay. So I want
We
to
don't because we don't want we want to know who we don't want uninvited guests.
definitely. Okay. Um, do we have a name for our town yet, or do we want to see if something comes up during play?
Let's throw out a name or two.
I'm trying to think of a name at the moment. Give me a second.
Mhm.
One's called that's Nebula, Atlantis, maybe something spacey sounding.
It seems to be the fashion. But although
Yeah, space.
Atlantis is very
Yeah.
is very high tech, right?
And Atlantis is a callback to the idea of an idealized human city, right? And that's why it's
Babylon, New Babylon.
New Babylon,
Done.
right?
Sorry.
That sounds kind of. I mean, that's cool, but it sounds kind of big, and our place is not big.
Big ideas, right?
How about Little Babylon? Brendan's like, I have to deal with this fucking guy for the next 2.5 hours. I'm so fucking. But think about it. Little Babylon makes sense. It's my little Babylon, my little oasis in the middle of nowhere, where you come up, your name doesn't matter, and you're treated to some of the most debaucherous, fun things you could possibly get your hands on, including
That sounds
violence and
fine.
ruthlessness.
That sounds fine.
So we're going with Little Babylon.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna do like a Western twang to it. Little
Little
Babylon.
Babylon.
No.
Is that what you meant? Little Babylon? Is that your Western twang?
There we go. Little Babylon. Um,
Babylon City.
all right. So if you want to change it, we can do so, but that's fine for now.
Quick question. How did you make the map have more things appear on it like that? That's crazy.
Because it's a drawing.
Oh, and then you just
Insert
have
the
those.
drawing. The problem with using the drawings is that background images, you can't stick them in place. So
Ah,
it's really touchy. You got to be careful that you're not accidentally messing things up.
gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So what I
Oh,
want
one
to,
more thing.
yeah.
I'd like Victory Park to be the arena, the pit arena.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't forgotten that plot line. That's
That's
real.
right.
That's real. It's
So
happening.
let's just call it what, the pits or
The
what?
pit.
Yeah, the
The
pits.
pit. All right. To distinguish from the pit
Oh
that
yes,
I
we should
had
have it.
created,
Just
Oh
yeah,
yes, you're right.
we can
God
just
damn it.
no, it's fine.
The blood pits?
I'm gonna rename this pit to be um the hole. There we go. So yours still got the pits. If we get to that idea of this burning crater to salvage stuff out of, we can go there. But I don't think we're gonna spend much time there. We're
Sounds
gonna
good.
focus on what you guys created. Okay, so I want to go back to your characters and under insight for town. Each of you should have some listed options that you should pick from the town pick lists for insights. So for the boss, you're going to choose two from baggage. For the medic, you're going to choose one from New World and one from Mutant. And for Michael, you're going to choose one from baggage, one from New World. So these pick lists are the heritage insights, and you're going to click on the checkbox and then have you write an answer in the answers to insights section. Does that make sense?
yep.
Okay. And don't feel like you need to answer it very completely. So basically, we're looking for something that might generate some fun in the fiction.
I got 1 second. All right, cool. Actually, no, that don't make any sense. Let's change that. Actually, no, leave it. Okay.
and then let me know when you're done in chat with choosing those.
Almost. Give me a minute. One second.
No problem.
Just my brother telling me there's delivery coming.
What are you eating today?
I don't know. He didn't buy me any, the bitch.
That's very inconsiderate of the boss to
Nah,
have to
fuck
deal
him.
with.
How fucking dare he? Did someone just wrote in box number 2. God damn it.
I'm sorry, I was typing there when you put number 2 in. I didn't see it.
It's all good. I will
Take out.
rewrite it. Not gonna remember what it was. No! No! Okay, what I write? Shit.
We can always do an undo if we need to.
I don't think we can. I think it's too late, right?
Right.
All right, then move on.
You picked down 5. Excuse me.
And you guys can coordinate too if you're like, hey, I think I have an idea for something.
I swear to God, people are killing me. Every one of you is going to die. I swear to God. All right, I am writing the number 2 in a box. That's the one you don't touch the thing to the right. Don't touch the box number 2. Print it. Don't touch it. Swear to God.
Google Sheets should have a contention feature.
Joe, did you say something?
I was just joking. I was just it lost its. I was gonna say, is it okay if I use the one that has number 2 in it? But
Swear to
anyone
fucking
using that
God.
one that has 2 in
Oh, I'm not gonna remember what. Oh, okay. I'll come back to number 4 in a minute.
David, is the star soul that's referenced down there kind of the maelstrom? Is that what the okay?
Yep, yep. It's the fictional MacGuffin in the background.
The longer that box stays open next to number 2, the more I feel like I should type something in it.
I will actually end your life. I swear to Christ. Don't even think about it. I'm almost done.
I'm thinking I might have to do something with that number 2 box.
It's done. You know, the worst thing is, I just looked up and the box I wrote number 2 originally in is now empty, and I'm like, I can't even. You didn't even use it. You didn't even use it. You didn't even use it.
And this is why tables are flipped virtually. All right.
Is that an option? I didn't see that as an option.
I think it's called accidentally hitting end on the Zoom call.
Let's see. I'm changing something because I want it to be a little crazier.
If you're changing something, just go ahead and use that one box there. That
I'm using the box labeled 6.
Okay.
So in case anybody wonders.
All right, I'm done now. I've beat that dead horse enough. So
over 15, you might put a note that it is highly rumored that, or something.
all right, so by number 2, I'll go ahead and change it to highly rumored.
Number 2.
Sorry, I said I was done.
Huh, interesting.
Doesn't have to be true. It just
No.
it's rumored.
Oh man, sharp kudzu. That's horrific.
There we go.
These are great. All right.
Yeah, I was going to have something helpful, and then I thought, well, I have something helpful, and I can have something scary.
So, Joe, you're done. Brandon, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Is Lloyd, are you almost done?
Almost done.
Okay. I feel like this one needs something. Who did number 6, a dormant war
Me.
machine? No one is stupid enough to vote.
Mark my words. We're gonna turn that war machine on.
Say, surely no one is.
We are definitely turning that war machine on no matter what. That's happening.
We've heard of these things in other places. They have
Yeah.
a tendency to turn on and annihilate and try to annihilate everything around them. You know, they're the ones that have been activated still think the war is going on and cannot be persuaded otherwise. It's, you know, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
To fuck with them, but they're, you know, they protect, they're self-protective, so it's like no one tries scavenging them is
But I bet we could make one of these work for us and help protect us.
A good thing you're not playing the game then, isn't it, David?
Good thing no one's a gear cutter.
yeah, no, it's like there's some probably it says this, farm for some rogue gear cutter to come. We can make this thing work,
take
protect
out,
us.
because we can solve everything through
And
technology.
and by war machine, I am thinking it's like, it is sort of a tank bot.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's a crawling treaded weapons platform.
I'm almost thinking, like, I don't know if any of you have seen the Ghost in the Shell movie, like the thing
Mhm.
at the end of that.
I don't remember what it looked like.
It's like a giant tank mech thing.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is, this is the kind of thing that can, like, it can roll, it can walk,
Mhm.
depending upon the terrain. And right now it's just kind of folded up on itself in rest mode, and but you can tell it's still active because there's like a couple of trouble lights that are still on.
So, like, I can imagine, because it's been here since Starfall, right?
It's been here since Starfall,
Yeah.
right? Clearly, it lost contact with
Yeah.
its unit, and
Yeah.
it went into shutdown and protect yourself mode.
Yeah. So I imagine, like, part of it is covered up by blown dirt and stuff, and there's some
Absolutely.
like grasses and some birds.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. It's
yeah,
just sat there.
yeah,
It's just sat
yeah.
there waiting
So
for
Right.
directions that never
And
come.
at night, like, if you look, you can see like the blinking light.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Sounds
Yeah.
like the perfect main event
Well, it's
For the pits.
for the pit.
Yes.
If only we had a
If only had someone to
promoter,
cut it.
a dedicated promoter who sees big things for their underdog. Yeah.
well,
These
the
are.
one nice thing about
Mhm,
it is that if I mean, traveling at night is inadvisable.
mhm.
But if you have good eyes, you can tell where the town is
Right.
at
Like,
night
yeah,
because
Yeah.
yeah,
you can see that little blinking light up
yeah.
in
I
the
was just thinking
hills.
of like runway lights outside of town, right? You know where the boundaries of that space is. Yeah. No, this is.
Also, depends on the night. Some nights are red, so we can travel through those without a problem.
Yep. Yep. All right. So we're at in my time zone, 11:25. Let's take a 5 minute break and come
Mhm.
back.
Just a
Um,
heads up, David. I
mhm.
do have a hard stop at the finish time that's listed.
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay
So
with you.
I don't think we're going to play too long because of the generation, but my idea is to take most of what's here and use
Mhm.
that as sort of the pre-gen basis, uh, for the Gen Con. So we're not spending that much time during that slot. So
Alright.
I really appreciate all this amazing creativity here. So we'll see you
So
back. Oh, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead, Joe.
I'm just gonna tell you, I've got to feed these bearded dragons behind
Go
me,
for it.
so it might
Yeah,
be just a smidge more than 5 minutes.
that's no
Alright.
problem. So
See
we'll be
you
back
in a
in
minute.
about 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Right? See ya.
Okay.
Heck.
Welcome back.
Hi, back. I'm Lloyd.
Hi, back, Lloyd. Give Joe a couple more minutes here.
He's late. There's one without him. He's been lost. Goodbye. We'll miss him. What a hero.
We'll sing her praises.
Well, you're just lucky they don't eat insects in the morning anymore. Otherwise, I'd still be chasing crickets around their cage. So
How many?
never get pets, never
Yeah.
get pets, or let your children get pets that require you to keep their food alive.
That's double duty.
You buzz my phone?
I think Lloyd's getting his food, is my guess. All right. So here's what I'm thinking is we'll do kind of like an opening scene. Credits would pass. And then we'll continue in earnest from there. You okay, Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm good. Just let you come, brother.
That's fine. All right. So I kind of want to just go around first and see what do we see you doing on a typical, like Monday morning.
Before we start, shouldn't we do the strings?
Oh, the HX?
Yeah.
Do you see that on your sheets? Do you see
Yes.
the questions? Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Do I see it?
Because I did not see them before.
I don't see
looking.
questions on the sheets.
If you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, no, there.
Yeah,
They're right there. Yeah, they're right below history.
There's like the Undaunted only seems to have like one question. Let me see if there's more.
Well, it's a question for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I have one question that I ask everybody, so that's very simple.
Okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and start with Michael.
Very well. So I'll ask my question to everybody, which is, should I take you to be a threat to my children? And feel free to
I would say
be a threat, but
I would say for Doc, that answer would probably be no.
okay.
I would say for the boss, the answer will probably be yes.
Okay. And it's interesting because it gives a +3 if the answer is yes. So, all right.
And it's not because I am a threat, but I can very potentially become a threat.
Absolutely. And Michael is very aware of threats.
Mhm.
Like when strangers come to town, you'll often see him, at the door or sitting on the porch or something like that, and eyeballing them. To see who might not understand how things work around here, i.e., that Michael will tear your chest out if you do anything to his children.
Okay. Let's go to Doc. You're muted.
Doc next, okay.
Mhm.
All right. First question is, do I figure you're doomed to self-destruction?
Which character do you think?
I would say the boss would probably be the only of the
Mhm.
that might, but there's 3 questions, so we don't have to. I guess we don't necessarily have to have a yes to all of them.
Right. Yeah, you can just
You
choose.
you pick the 2 that you want to.
Yep.
That you
Oh,
want to
okay.
Yeah.
use.
You don't have to choose the first one.
Although it's a good one.
Although I do think that. I think I'm going to say I believe that the boss is doomed to self-destruction.
All right.
So
That's your
Doesn't mean
belief,
you
whether or
are, it
not
just
it's
means I
true.
believe you are.
Yeah. Well, they
Uh,
do run in blood sport
and
events.
that's a -2 HX,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, -2, sorry.
Yeah.
And then
That's weird. What does the -2 mean?
-2 means it's hard to help them or to interrupt them.
Oh, fair dues. I thought it always just went back to 1 when it reset. I didn't realize it went also negatives. It's all good.
There are negatives, right? Am I
Yep.
mistaken?
Yeah.
There were in the
Yes.
original Apocalypse
I think
Storm.
the pluses
Oh,
have a plus in front of it, so
true.
um
The reason why I asked is because yours was, hey, the guy threat. I went, yes. Oh, +3. Yours is, oh, the guy's self-destructive, -2. I'm like,
Well, that plus it's +3. You know, it's +3 because it's like I am very aware of you.
that's fair.
You know, so it's like whatever you're doing, I know I'm paying attention, and so I have more ability to help or interrupt. That's the way I interpret it.
Okay.
so I think I don't think the have you been beside me all along would work for either of these characters since
No.
so um I'm going to say that Michael has put a hand in when it mattered and helped me save lives. If that's okay.
Absolutely. Well, are you sort of itinerant?
Um,
I mean, you know, do you like live in a shack and mostly go around to do your work? Or do
I
you but you have a or you know you have a base. You have a home base.
yeah, I have a refuge, but I imagine that there is also um
So
going where people need her.
Michael
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
may have been of particular help if this makes sense to you
Mhm.
in dealing with some of the aliens
Yeah, I like that.
because their physiology, some of the physiology of the Tolek and some of the others is odd. Um, you know, and you're dealing with somebody who's wounded who has a circulatory system that doesn't work in the way that like a human's does.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just can you refresh me because I've played a crap ton of PBTA, but I've actually only played Apocalypse World one other time. So this will come into play if I'm trying to um influence or get say the boss to do something, I'm going to be at a -2 to do it. Is that how that's going to work, or how does it work?
Well, I know it's for sure with interrupt and help
Yeah.
moves because those are the
Yeah.
ones that usually call for HX. You know, if you look at the move and you say, "I want you to do something," usually there's against a
Right.
PC, it's slightly an altered move.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly for the help and interrupt moves, I believe. If you're
Yeah.
trying to assist somebody or to block what they're doing,
Hmm.
Perfect. I'm
or
good.
give them a bonus or a penalty.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have the boss.
Hey. So, easy question. Which one of you is my favorite? Who do I like to hang out with? Who do I'm like, you know what? I love it. I come to him like, you know what? It's really good talking to you. You're like, get out of my house. I hate you. You suck. You're a threat or you're due for self-destruction. I hate it. Like, okay, good talk. See you later.
I think I have a yes to the first question, given what we already talked about, Lloyd. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
we do, but like I was skipping that.
So it might make sense
Because
that
I'll focus on the favorite first if I worry about that question. Because that question has
Fair
an easy
enough.
answer.
Hmm.
it might Doc might be your favorite because you know that they're going to help people no matter what, so they can stitch up your fighters, they can do all that stuff, and that might make her your favorite.
I like it. I'll stick with it. Michael, it's very clear that you have been with me the biggest longest since before, so
Yeah.
you get that +2. I don't think any of you are the kind of people who would have done this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have any of you betrayed or stolen from me?
No. Um, Michael's too proud to steal from anybody. You know, he's the kind of person who would suffer rather than steal.
Yeah, I don't think Doc would steal. I do think it's conceivable, like if it's like to help people, that she would have done that.
Mhm.
But
Or you could have betrayed the boss by helping somebody who the boss had basically cast out or said, this person's an enemy. Nobody helped them. So that's
Also, don't forget that you also have a source of pure water, not just me.
Yeah.
That's a very easy way betrayal could have been coming through. Because like I'm like, water isn't free. I'm like, but the dog has source of water somehow. And that could be a conflict between us. Even though you're my favorite. I'll still shoot your ass.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
I'm okay with that.
let me
So,
ask you this question. Is it widely known that you have this source of water? Or is there maybe just a rumor in town?
um, I don't think it's a secret. I
Okay.
think, I think there's probably this tenuous, um, like, there's this like probably somewhat of a tenuous agreement or like thing between the boss and Doc, because Doc serves a very important purpose, and role in the town. Um, but I'm guessing that the boss doesn't necessarily like that. Uh, uh, but then also, I'm sure Doc doesn't like flaunt the in the probably doesn't want to flaunt it in his face. But there's probably that sort of like, you know tension that sits right underneath the surface about the water, between them.
That sounds fair. All
Awesome.
right, I'll give you a +3. That puts you on 5. Do I just roll it over and go back to 2? Back to 1.
Doesn't it have to go up to 6 or something?
I thought it was 4. It might be 6. Let me double
but
check.
do these questions stack? I thought it was just one question that applied to somebody. But
If not, I'll just stick
happy
with the
happy
3.
to be contradicted. It's still a 3.
The 3. I'll take the 3. Leave it at
Yeah.
that.
All right.
Done.
Cool. All right. So let's see here. Let me see if it says. Okay. I don't see that there. All right. Any other final things before we get started?
Nope.
Okay. Again, we can always make it up as we go. So, I feel like the camera kind of zooms in over like the lands. We get the setting, this like scattered sort of hodgepodge of what we might know as Earth, along with these purple, green, and orange um, sort of landmass areas and overgrown areas. The sky is mostly purpley these days, although sometimes it's blue. Sometimes there are storms with purple rain that rain down on different areas across the world, and we zoom in on over this sort of remote place that's off of a river, and we come over this sort of hills and down, and it's like getting close to like night is coming, and it's creating this sort of like almost like heat wave effect, but we know it's not too hot because this person is bundled up in a tattered sort of jacket, and they're just weakly walking towards this space. And so what I'd like to get some description from Joe is what does this space look like outside of your refuge? Because this person is heading there. It looks like they're in need of help, and they seem to know that they should go in this direction, but they look either dehydrated or weak as they get close to it.
I kind of vision the refuge. So it's up against the hills, and there's like, because there's like caverns and things. So I think there's like a overhang, or like a sort of a cave-ish sort of thing. And outside of that, I think that there's been over time, she's built like, um I like the idea of using like scrap parts of things, right? So it's like this sort of ramshackle looking thing, but then it's also, you know, there's it's unusually maybe it's unusually greener and more, because of her garden and all of these different things, right?
Mhm.
And so I see, you've got all of this, you know very sort of eclectic, um, you know, maybe kind of like if you think in your head of like this kind of new agey, thing, outside um of the cave. So maybe the the cave itself isn't totally evident because all this stuff is kind of built up outside at the entrance of it.
Mhm.
Um, and I actually just think there is at the, as you walk towards it, there is sort of like a, a sign of stuff that she has made, that maybe there's like sort of a makeshift like gate, like entrance, and it just says the refuge, right,
Okay.
hanging there.
Is it, do you have people who kind of volunteer here as well?
Um, I guess I would probably say no, because that was
Mhm.
kind of one of the choices, and I did
Okay.
not choose
Yeah.
that choice.
So
So
is it just you and maybe some people that you're helping?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking like what we see is we have one of those patients, or if there's another name you have for them, sees this person and like kind of helps bring them in through the threshold, across the threshold of the refuge, uh, and brings them to whatever Doc is doing. But first they like sit him down on this like low rock ledge and bring some like a old metal tin, and I'm gonna say it's like I'm gonna say it's like like an old like Campbell's soup like can, and it's being used as like a water cup. Uh, and then they go and get Doc to help this person. So what is Doc doing at this time?
So you said it's evening or whatever.
Yeah, it's like twilight, like it's getting
Yeah.
like the stars are starting to show. We see this one sort of um, shape with some lights moving across the sky, which may be that derelict ship.
Yeah, so I think that the stranger comes, and one of the other um people there kind of gets them the water set, but I think maybe Doc has been out, you know, uh had been out doing maybe a house call of some sort. And so
Hmm.
shortly after, excuse me, shortly after, so you see her, and she's got this sort of hooded, and she you see her walking um back up towards the refuge. um her 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 steps are heavy. I mean, she's tired. She's been out helping people. Maybe she'd been out on the outskirts. And as she enters, she sees the person, and uh, thanks the other patient for seeing to them, and approaches them, and says, "Welcome, friend. Are you hurt? How can I help you?"
And this person, this woman, uh, she pulls back some of the tattered jacket from around her, and kind of gaunt, dehydrated, looks a little like wind burned, right? Says, I don't know. That depends. Do you know Kalu Singh?
Everybody knows the boss.
Does your character know the real name of the boss?
Hmm.
Is that, let me ask
I
you, like,
wouldn't have told anyone my real
Correct.
name,
Right. Because it's
but
old
that
name.
doesn't mean you couldn't figure it out, being who you are.
there might be a flashback
May I may
at
have
some point. That
I may have known it because you used it when you first came
Before I changed.
before you
Yeah,
established,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Doc
or
wouldn't know that,
someone pulled
right?
it. Yeah.
Given
Yeah,
the rule, right?
yeah. And you
Uh,
were a latecomer to the town.
so yeah, I said, I'm sorry, I don't know anybody here by that name, but you should know that um nobody um nobody here, everybody who comes here and stays, re releases their past. And so perhaps they are here, but are using, but have a new name, and a new, and a new life here.
I was informed that she'd be here, so I came looking.
Well, it's late. Let me help you. You don't, you look tired and sick. Tomorrow you are welcome to stay here, and tomorrow, perhaps, we can look for this person, and see if they truly are here.
All right. And so, do you like basically help settle her in for the night?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, just to kind of like move things along, I think the doc makes sure she's doing okay, and the NPC from earlier like checks in, and then the two of you kind of go off, and she's lying there, and I think what we see before we cut to the credits is that um, she pulls out something, some technological thing like a communicator, and says, "Reporting in, I've made it to Little Babylon. I'll update you again later," and then cuts it off. And then we cut to credits, flash, and then we have the next day. Where do we see the boss the next morning?
All right, so in my head, because this is a Western themed
Sure. Yep.
show, it cuts to me. My legs are up on like a rock. I mean, what looks like a weird deck chair. I have a hat over my eyes, covering it up, so like resting down. And there come my pants to the right and looks at me like so. And they pass me again. I got a pistol in my hand, and I'm sort of aiming it blindly. And then I shoot. And then there's a oh, and I lift it up, so we now see like half my face is prosthetic along my prosthetic arm,
Mhm.
and we're in the hills. My boys have strung. I've built this like hangman device over a cliff, and they strung someone who broke one of my laws at the very end by their feet, and I'm aiming for the rope to try and shoot to make them drop, while they're pleading for mercy to be
Oh,
calmed
gee.
down by it. And
So just as a callback, I just want to make sure we're good with this because I think torture was veiled. Is
oh, his
this
torture was veiled.
yeah?
It's also more comedic torture, but I can cut it down if people don't want it.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're okay with where we're at. Are we good with this? Okay. All right. Cool.
So I'm shooting, and then they're like, I'm sorry. I just took some of the water. I wasn't sure. I thought I could maybe make a profit. I was like, that's profit not based on my work. Hang on, I'm trying to shot, and I'll put it back down again. I'm sort of like aiming blindly, and then I shoot again, and they stop begging, and I'm like, all right, boys, they've convinced me. Promise you won't do it again. And I promise next time you do it again, you won't get this chance again. And they're like, yes, please, thank you, I'm sure. They're like, all right, boys, cut them down. And the boys cut them down, but they dropped them instead. And I'm like, no, I meant cut them down and bring them back. Oh, never mind. And that's like the scene that cuts from me. And it's me turning around after that and heading back into my town with the big open shot of the town in the daytime.
Okay. So as you're coming back, let's cut over to Michael. What do we see Michael doing at this time?
This is early in the morning.
Yep, like Tuesday morning.
Yeah, so Michael is Michael is in the corral with an unruly thoat, which is this huge multi-legged creature,
Mhm.
kind of, it's probably like 1,500 pounds. It's this, bigger than any horse. That is sort of we've adapted to be a riding animal and beast of burden.
Mhm.
It's good at both of those things, but they are wilder than horses are. And so they and so he's trying he's trying to break a wild one that they have, that somebody captured. in the wilds and brought here. And it involves a lot of rope, several people helping, and a stun baton. You know, to try and bring this thing down. And as it gets tired, you see Michael, you know, finally is able to get close to it and put a hand on its massive shoulder and talk to it. And it's his strange musical language, and it seems to calm down and look at him a little bit. And then it snarls, you know, and it has these kind of mouth tendrils that pop out when it does so. You know, it's got a jaw and it's got these two little, almost, you know, like antennae to, you know, things that pop out of its mouth as it does. But clearly its heart's not in it. You know, it's the kind of thing that, you know, if you were right there, it would be happy to bite you, you know, bite your arm off. But right now it's too tired. um, and Michael gives it an affectionate thwack on the side of the thing that would stagger a person, but this thing doesn't move at all. And says, you know, yeah, this one will be fine. It'll still be another week before we can use it, but it'll let you take it into the enclosure now without kicking the whole thing down.
Nice.
And people carefully, you know, drag it off. They know to like have ropes, you know, at three different angles so that it can't make a lunge. And how to hobble it, you know, and it takes a lot of hobbling because they're like six-legged things.
Yeah, this is probably something that you know, you coordinate several people to kind of run across.
Yeah, I have, you know, even though, as I said, this has the air of an orphanage. Of course, a lot of my children are grown, you know, or at least, you know, adolescents, and can do heavy work. Some of them, you know, who I have adopted, leave, and some of them choose to stay. The ones I have listed down below are the ones that are either unable to leave or have chosen to stay.
Sure.
So it's heavy work, and Michael is, we don't sweat, but we vent. So Michael has, you know, this sort of protrusions on his neck that are blowing vapor at this to dump all the heat generated. As he says, good morning's work. Everybody into the house after once that beast is tied up for a drink of water.
What I think would be interesting is if we have the boss and their gang riding past this as you're concluding your business with the creature. So do either of you like normally break to talk to one another, or do you just keep your work separate and go about your day until something else happens?
No, I always stop and talk to the boss because I don't know, because I am wary of the boss.
And I will always stop to talk to Michael because I will always try and find an excuse to harass Michael.
Okay. So
yeah, I wipe my you know, I wipe my wickedly clawed hands, you know, off on a rag, and come out and stand in my doorway, and I go, boss.
And I'm standing
and it comes out like this. I'm not going to do this every time, but it comes out like this, boss. Because we have this sing-song voice that is full of little pharyngeal clicks and pops when we speak human. It's the closest we can get. It's perfectly intelligible, but it takes a little getting used to.
I'm gonna stand like a good distance away, out of claw reach, distance away. So I fly back.
Are you still on your horse or whatever? Or are you on foot or what?
I know I'd like would have been coming in, I'd have stopped and I'd have gotten out and walked up
Oh,
because then we have
nice. Yep.
that shot of me and Michael standing right outside the orphanage. It makes and I leave the boys behind because like I don't want
It's
them to
called the garden.
the garden
Yes.
outside the
Yes.
garden, and I come up forward and I'm like, Michael, hey, taking guests.
Um, we have no guests at the moment. We have just the those who live here. Why do you have a guest for us?
Oh no, I was thinking more like, when's the last time you invited me to breakfast or lunch or whatever it is you're eating? I ain't
You
seen your
are
kids for time.
you are welcome to share our what we have. It is not fancy.
Honestly, I'm a little thirsty, and any time to stop for water is good. Plus, any excuse to see little Tolek.
Hmm. Oh, to the target? Yes, you are welcome. Please come to your
Fantastic.
table. Your men can wait outside. On the other hand,
Oh,
water
of
will be
course.
brought out to them.
Nah, boys, head on back. I'll meet you back at the office. And they're like, "Whoa, hey, whoa, hi." They go, I don't really have a personality for them yet, but just you guys are over there. I'll do them in a minute. I have like an hour, and I'll pull my breeches up like very clearly. I'm still packing a gun, but I'm gonna go in with it because I would rather Michael was offended by my gun than me be anywhere near Michael without a weapon. And I will come in and come. I was gonna walk around to be
Michael
like,
doesn't have anyone with a problem with a gun if they're more or less within arm's reach, since Michael is effectively armed at all times.
fair.
So I will.
Also, you would know this, boss, that not very many people know. Michael has a pulse rifle.
Oh, cool.
You don't know where he keeps it. Yes, it is an alien. It's an alien war weapon. Michael's never talked, per the things, about what he did before he came here and started taking care of people. But you're pretty sure it wasn't anything very pleasant.
Did
Let
I
me
start pushing today? Yeah,
let me
maybe. Sorry,
pause
sorry.
let's cut from that situation, and
So
let me.
anyway, there's
Yeah.
just to set the scene. So there's a
Yeah.
big there's a table that's kind of that's just a big big hunk of wood supported by synthetic plastic supports.
Hmm.
It's it's a big scavenge job. And no two chairs match each other. Uh, but there's fresh water and what came from the garden and a little bit of meat.
Awesome. So we cut from that scene back to Doc and the guest. Right. It's early Tuesday morning. The guest is already up and saying that they want to go into town and find this person that you don't know who it is. So what do we see with the doc?
Yeah, I think we see um Doc is had been making like tea. And
Hmm.
I think she actually has an actual like tea like kettle thing. It's not like a makeshift one. And
Hmm.
I imagine maybe at some point it was a gift from the boss, right? Like for something, right? Like
Yeah.
that's this it's they might be using old cans or whatever to drink from, but there's that somehow he had found this or had it or whatever
Hmm.
and stuff. And it's a fairly um prized possession of hers in a sense. um and I think she'll say, "There's time enough to go into town. Sit. You're weary, and this tea. The herbs in this tea will help. Give you strength, and then I have some people to visit in town, and I will take you. I will accompany you into town. But relax. There's no hurry."
Um, this person seems to be anxious, agitated. Like you can tell that they don't want to stick around here with you. Like they feel like not like bad. against you. But it just seems like they really want to get on the move and find this person. They have an agenda. Do you want to
Um,
try to determine more about this person
yeah,
at
I
this time?
do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. Let's see. I think I know what we're gonna do here. Go ahead and roll plus sharp.
All right. Hang on. Let me get into the roller here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, the roller.
Did you?
And
Yeah, the rollers on the
Safety resources.
safeties page. Yeah. Thank you.
okay. 10.
Okay. Excellent.
Easy.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So you get to choose two of the following, or
3.
hang on, three. Yeah, three. Are you telling the truth? What are you feeling? What are you thinking of doing? What do you hope I do? I'll do what? How could I get you to do X?
Um,
And you don't have to. You can hold some of these if you want to.
so I would, I'm gonna, so I'm gonna first, excuse me, sorry. If,
Mhm.
um, like, I want to understand how they're feeling.
Okay. So just briefly, like, kind of, how do we see you kind of interact to kind of get that out of them? What's a common way that we might see Doc kind of help to determine that?
So yeah, so I think I see, so I think she is, I think she uses the act of, um sitting at the table and the it's the ceremony of, and use that term loosely, but the ceremony
Hmm.
of setting the tea and doing that thing to put people at ease, and gives her time to um kind of study them and kind of feel their presence and read um what they're all about.
Okay, let me ask out of character question to Lloyd. Um, so Lloyd, when you were growing up with your sister, let's say your older sister, what was a habit she displayed at the breakfast table or breakfast time? What was a common habit or quirk?
Whenever she's about to eat, she says a prayer. And the prayer is always, it's not said out loud, but she closes. We have a prayer we say, like,
Hmm.
thank you, Robert, I'm good, thank you for the grub. But she says it in a tapping motion.
Hmm.
So she'll close her eyes and she'll tap Robert Dub Dub, thanks for the grub. And that's what she was, that's what she goes, I know you can't hear that because my microphone. She goes,
No, I get it. Yeah.
yeah, and so
So
you can hear it when she,
yeah.
and that's what she does every time she just
So
taps.
we see this display at the table, this sort of ritual that she has in response to the tea. It's just sort of this thing that comes out. Um, and then like her brow furrows, and it's like she's very intent on doing something, and is just sort of like not wanting to like upset you, and just by like doesn't want to just run out of the room. And is so you get this unease, like, I don't want to be here, I want to be somewhere else.
Okay. I think, um I'm not sure if at this exact moment any of the rest of these questions are
Hmm.
really, if I can, if I'm gonna hold,
Yeah.
um and then maybe use those as we converse more. And so, um I think she'll, uh, uh say, I can see you're anxious. Let's finish this cup and then we can go look for your friend.
Even if it was like hot, she just endures the pain just to be done with this ritual she doesn't respect. And
So
she looks at you very like determined, like I'm ready. Let's go.
So I think Doc will chuckle and laugh, not in a patronizing way, but just in sort of a and and say, "I understand. Let me grab my." And I think she's probably got like a pack that she carries that has like the her medicines or the her tradecraft stuff, right? And and maybe a little walking, like maybe she has like a little walking stick or I don't know, something like that. And I think we see her, and she grabs her cloak, and say, well, let's go see if we can find your friend, and we'll lead her out into the town.
Cool. All right. Um, so let's see. We've only got a little bit of time left, and I want to be respectful of that. So I'm going to cut away so we don't see the full conversation of between the boss and Michael per se. Let's go to like a little later in the day when everyone is kind of in town. So this is the opportunity for everyone to kind of interact or bump into each other. Um, and I think what we see is Doc is still with this visitor. Um, and I think what we see is the boss is outside. I'm just going to pop to the map for a moment for reference. And what is that number? Oh, I'm going to say outside the general store, which is 18. There's that like plaza, that white area on the map that's open. And I'm going to say that this person that is with Doc yells out the boss's name from across that plaza and says, "Callow!"
I'm like running on business, living the best life.
Yeah.
I hear that name and I will turn sharply.
And you see your older sister, kind of ragged looking, and gives you this really like, I'm going to beat your ass look from
I
across the
draw my
plaza.
gun
What
immediately.
I'm going to say, like the doc is there, like Michael, you can totally be there with any of your kids. What is anyone else doing?
Yeah, I think I'm there with a little bit because
Hmm.
um we're getting we're going to barter some work for for a some new tools
Hmm.
or some refurbished tools.
Yeah, I think Doc was there, but maybe she's kind of doing her Doc thing a little bit. So she was walking around with her, but
Hmm.
like maybe she was off a little bit
Yeah.
talking to some of the other people, maybe some people, consulting with, just giving them, you know, uh general like, you know, medical or just talk, right? Just chitter chatter with them, and probably looks
Yeah.
up in surprise when and looks up when she hears it. And because I imagine, in the world we live in, when people start yelling, it's not like a it's
No, and Michael knows who Kalusinga is, and that nobody uses that name. So she
Right.
is breaking a
Right.
taboo. She is breaking a taboo. Now she's also a stranger, and strangers are dangerous.
That's
So
exactly.
Michael has been eyeing her ever since she walked down the thing. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
unpredictable person, ready for trouble, and here it is.
So there's an um mostly a quiet. There's still people who will talk no matter what. And their eyes are trained on this sort of like you're over there, the boss is over there with a gun out, and you're
I'm
this
going to
person.
speak. I'm going to speak. Um, there is no one who uses that name here anymore.
There's a moment where I hear that, and then I just so I don't shoot, and I'll pause, and you see me put the gun like to my side, but I don't put it back in the holster, and
Mhm.
I will stride up towards them, and I'll say, "Sorry, I heard a name I hadn't heard in a very long time coming from you. You may not know this, stranger, but we don't use names here."
Not old reckoning names. Everyone who decides to stay gets a new name.
So I put the character NPCs. We don't know the name in character except for the boss would. Uh, so this person who's probably, I don't know how tall you are, but I was thinking that this person is probably like 6'1" ish.
All right, let's take it. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Michael's not quite 7 feet tall.
yeah. And like similar build, like I think probably more lean, especially of late, kind of gaunt looking, dehydrated, windburned, but has this sort of like almost like um, ready to spring tension in their body, but doesn't have their noticeably have any weapons nearby at hand. But is just sort of like staring at you, and just there's this like crooked grin when you give that response about we don't use these names here, and she's just staring at you. And so, what I think would be interesting is we have a flashback that the audience sees about that maybe involves, if you're open to this, how they parted on bad terms, which involved your body being damaged if you want to go there. Um, and also, what we don't know yet is her losing one of her arms. We'll say the right arm. So there's an accident or tragedy that happened that from that you parted ways.
I would say, if it's all right,
Mhm.
can you establish what the Starfall was exactly?
Sure. So the Starfall is the sort of wrapping of events, including the arrival of the aliens, the war,
Mhm.
and the fall. A lot of these ships crashed, and the technology spread out, and the xenoforming went off. It wasn't controlled, so that whole like thing is considered Starfall for a lot of people. The War of Stars is the actual conflict of war, but Starfall is this whole like enveloped event series of events.
I would say the flashback would dictate that the last time we met,
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a police officer in a
Ooh.
different town, in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I had been running a underground rig of like, like working for some kind of bigger boss and mafia style happening going through. And I was a contact on the inside. No one knows she's my sister, all of that. Um, Something comes up with the big boss and they blame her, but she put it on me.
Mm.
So I don't know she put it on me. I get hunted and I come to her going, "What the hell is going on? We need to get out. Everything's fine." And we have one of those like dramatic moments where I turn around to lead her out, and then she like long live the kings me off a building.
She pushes you off a building.
Off a building.
Holy
And I
crap!
fall and my body is absolutely wrecked. And it's only like this that I'm able to survive.
Mm. Okay.
Which means that therefore none of us were good people. I just got stabbed in the back by my sister. I don't know why, but she's still my sister, and I believe in the
Sure.
love.
So okay.
Does it
So
feel like something big is about to go down?
yeah, there's
Okay,
tension.
then
Um,
I'm going to
mhm.
barge if I can.
Okay, I want to give Joe a
Doc.
chance too
Sure,
to
absolutely.
interact. Is there anything that you think the medic
Yeah.
would be
So
interested in?
I think Doc has been watching this and has moved, close. And I think she puts her hand on, uh, is that Shiro?
Yeah.
Shiro's shoulder, um, you know, and says, "Friend, this is our home. This is a place of new beginnings. This is where we live." Trying to give her the sense of I look around, these people are living their lives, whatever happened before was before.
I think we get a response from Shiro,
Excuse me.
where she says, "I'm here to." It's like really stuck in her throat.
I'm gonna interrupt that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can
okay.
can I barge? Like,
No, go for it. Go for it.
So I say, you will declare your intentions, peaceful or not, right now, or you will, or we will have trouble right now. And that's a confront.
Oh, go for it. Yeah. Let's see. Confront
Oh man, check it
someone.
out, yo. Shit, Michael got my
Roll
back.
plus-
Yo,
roll
Doc, where
plus
you at?
Aggro.
Doc, Michael got my back. Where you at?
I don't have your back.
You're
I know
literally
if
holding me
trouble
back.
bursts out between you and this person, it's going to be bad for me, bad for everyone.
You can interrupt it anyway. You can interpret it any way you want, baby. It's all good. I'm
Okay,
literally gonna have this conversation in character later.
geez. Okay, with a 12, I am. So
Oh man, you got my back, yo. Shit.
Michael doesn't wear shoes because he has
Right.
swarmy clawed feet,
Sure.
but Doc, especially, you can see that Michael's toes spread out, which is a fighting stance.
Yeah.
He's to grip the ground, even though he hasn't otherwise done anything, and his posture is as non-threatening as someone as big and dangerous looking as he can be, but he's ready for sudden violence.
Okay. So.
And I guess she gets that too.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
12.
I think what we see is we see her like take in what's happening with you, and that kind of helps push the thing out of her throat that she was trying to say, but it's very uncomfortable for her to say. And I think she goes down on her knees and 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 it takes effort, but she says, "I'm here to ask forgiveness." And this is obviously directed at the boss.
There's a moment where there's like a silent pause, and I'm like, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me!" All right, everyone, stand down. Enough of the British delegation. Everyone else, I point to her. Come with me, and I like indicate against the office. And I pause and I look at the other two. And I'm like, you two as well. And I drag them to the office with me as well. I don't physically drag them.
I look at Doc.
Can I use one of my hold? The
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Is she telling the truth?
Okay, well let me ask you this. You have a psychic connection, right, as a mutant, right? So I feel like let's go ahead and use the hold, but I feel like and anyone else who's played a lot of Apocalypse World, let me know. What she's just saying, the Asteroon, is she is telling the truth about.
Okay.
So I don't want to like screw you over. She does have an ulterior motive too, but I don't know that it would be evident yet. So, but
no, I think saying she's telling the truth about this right now is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Yes, I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You have to
Everybody in Apocalypse World has complex motives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as you can tell,
you cannot tell them all by a read.
yeah. So as far as you can tell, she's truthful about the asking for forgiveness part. Okay. So we'll cut.
Doc, you see Michael relax, and he
Mhm.
he looks at you, and somebody less perceptive than you might not have seen anything happen. Because it's not, he doesn't hunch his shoulders, he doesn't, shift his stance or anything like that. It's just that little.
And I think she'll put her hand on, because you're super tall, right? So I think I think,
About 7 foot tall and
but not
built
on
like
your
a
shoulder, but
built like
like,
a
Like a
linebacker.
leg and a
like
thigh.
You can reach my shoulder. You can reach my shoulder. It's not.
or
I'm
maybe
not
just on,
unless
but
you're
maybe just
tiny.
on your arm, and just give you a nod, like of, you know, recognition and appreciation, kind of. There's just one of those little nods that you get when you know, see that somebody was, the recognition of not escalating it more than it needed to be.
And you hear a kind of little double click in Michael's throat, which is a common acknowledgement, which is, I appreciate, which is basically, I appreciate what you're saying. It's just kind of like, no worries uh, in the toe leg.
Either way,
Just like,
I will like
I can't do
make
licks.
all three of them come into the office with me. And I
Yep.
look at the gang and I'm like, boys, out.
So we cut to the scene of your office. What's a couple things about your office that are noteworthy to the audience?
I have a very nice collection of intricate hats that all can sit on, that have a loop sideways so you cannot see my eye if I wear
Mhm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
My office is fairly run down. There is a jail section, but it's mostly empty. And it's for the only electronic part of the office. Everything else is like standard light bulb,
Mhm.
fan spinning, all that stuff. But the jail cell is like super deluxe, electronic lock, multiple code, electrical like currents running through it. Some of them are like an energy bar that comes down, almost like this place is there to keep people in and nothing else,
Can
and
can
nothing else going with it.
can I make a suggestion for it?
No, I'm kidding. You can just I just want to see what you'd say.
Can it? I know you lied. Can it, like, at least part of it, if not a fair amount of it, might be salvaged from like a brig from one of these alien ships?
Oh, I like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
Because
stuck into the building.
like
it's
it
the only
does
thing,
not.
it's the only thing that would make sense, right?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just doesn't fit in with the rest of the decor. Okay.
And there's also a fantastic liquor aisle on the left side, of which only I have the key. At
you,
least I
you
think
hope
I
so.
really want to, which is not
I
true
don't.
because I know one of these boys have the key.
Tall legs don't metabolize alcohol, so it never had any attraction for me.
So all of you are in the office area.
hmm
Um, I'm ass- does anyone want to like ask or do anything in here? Because I think
I'm about to.
the boss is going to start laying in. Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
First things first, I go to the liquor table. I get 4 glasses out.
Hmm.
I pour things in and I pass them all to the people. I ignore Michael's statements of metabolism when I pass it over just cause. And I look over and I go, "What's your name?" to Kalo. It's Chiro.
You're asking like what her alias name
No, I
is?
go, "What's your?" Well, let me play through. I go, "What's your name?"
You know my name, sister.
No, I don't. Round here, we don't have names. We don't have pasts. Everyone who comes into Little Babylon leaves their past behind. What's your name? We don't have names from the
So
past.
I think she considers it, and then something comes to mind. And I think what she says is she says, uh, Patter, which I think was a nickname from the before time when she was on. Was she working for the police or for the mafia?
For the mafia,
Yeah, I think that was her nickname
space
in
mafia.
the mafia was Patter.
I roll my eyes, but I don't say anything. I'll go, boss, Doc, Michael. Now we're acquainted. What the hell are you doing here?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble about talking about life outside of this town.
You will.
Screw it. So the man, she's referencing the mafia boss, right? The man, um, he's vulnerable, and I want to ask your help to help bring him down.
Not interested.
All right, see ya.
Oh, that was easy.
And she,
No,
drinks and leaves it on
And
the
I'm,
table.
I'm like, why is he vulnerable?
He's made a deal he cannot complete with. It looks like she's gonna say like a vulgar name for an alien, but then she corrects herself and she says she made a deal with a Nebulan that is costing him too much. He's gonna lose his stakes. He's gonna lose his control, and there's gonna be a power vacuum potentially.
you have come a great ways to ask this, not knowing what the possible answer might be. Why?
I think the boss here should take over.
Take over the mafia.
Yeah.
What is that?
I look over at Michael and go, think of it like really, really, really big boys club.
I have
Like my
difficulty
gang.
picturing yes,
Think of it more planet size.
but then that would be an army. No?
Close enough. An army of people who don't always go to war. But when they do, it's a bit more deadlier.
So let me pause here. Is the doc? Do you want to ask your third and final hold, or
Yeah, probably. Um,
because she's intently studying boss? She's paying attention to Michael because alien is unusual of this kind for her. She's kind of ignoring you, so she's not really watching Doc at all.
yeah. So I think Doc has um uh I think Doc has rolled a cigarette of sorts,
Mhm.
homegrown, and
Is it out of that grass, that kudzu?
yeah, um, yeah, and she is so
It's
she's
good. It's good if you once you get the leaves out, they're
and so she's been sitting kind of back just watching, and I guess the um if anybody else has a, I mean, I was thinking, and sorry, somebody's at the door.
We didn't
Amazon's
hear it.
here. The Amazon alarm just went off. Um,
please the alarm.
but I was thinking a little bit about what are you thinking of doing,
Mhm.
but she's kind of told us that, but maybe like in terms of like really thinking of doing. Is that a
Right,
fair?
right, right, right. I feel like given the potential, like, because we're gonna have to stop in a few minutes. I feel like the potential and the nature of this sort of setting. Um, I'd like for you to, because I feel like this would lead into it. Is where is it? Trying to find the actual move name. Oh,
Tell me you want me to open my
open your
brain.
brain to the stars. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's weird, right? I think
Yep.
I'm +1 on weird, so give me just a second here. 8.
Okay. And did you pick any moves that would alter this at
I
all?
don't think so. I have well, hang on. No, no, I have obviously field medic. I have the healing touch, which uses weird, but it's very specifically
Sure.
to heal people. And then the know your enemy. When you read a sitch, I
Hmm.
get an additional question.
Okay. So let's see. You're along for the ride. So you're supposed to ask the MC what you see and feel, and if the MC has any questions, you answer them. Okay. Mhm.
So just in kind of I kind of like the idea that smoking this stuff that comes from them
Yep.
opens her mind to, like, it helps, it breaks down
Yep.
that barrier a bit.
Yep.
And so I think she's sitting back, and as she does that, that's how it kind of opens
Mhm.
her sight a bit to
Yeah.
the,
And
so
yeah, so what I kind of see from the audience point of view is that you exhale, right? And there's the smoke vapor mix. And I think what we get is this connection to Shiro patter of something. There's a scene, it's skewed by this sort of purple hue filter. And we see and hear the sort of echoey voice of Patter talking about how she's gonna get her sister out of town so that someone can come in and get the water.
and get
And they're,
the water.
yeah, basically, it sounds like she's going in there to make sure the boss leaves, one of the big authority figures, right? And there's something too big that she can't resist, and she's like, I know what it is. We're gonna get we're gonna play on my sister's ambition and pride, and dig in with some old things to get her out, so that you guys, and there's this like blurry vision of a bunch of people, can come in and take over, and we're gonna grab the water resources. And I think what you also see, it's a little fuzzy, is that you see this sort of alien figure like across from her that she's making this deal with. And this figure is this sort of like red, um, red and blue mottled ceramic type alien species. Um, and this person seems to be agreeing that this is okay, we're going to do this. So do we see anything else from Doc, or do you just kind of sit with that vision?
Um, I think um I think that yes, she's going to sit with that for a minute, because I think that it I don't think she's like, I think doing this takes a little something out of her, right? Like, so I don't think she's like immediately
Mm-hmm.
like I think these images flow into her, and she has to kind of, there's like, it's almost like you have to process that a little bit, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
she,
Kind of like come out of the high, as it
yeah,
were. Okay. All right. So what do we
whatever that's like.
Yeah. So, um, given that we only have a little bit of time left, what what do we see going on to kind of wrap up the conversation in the office?
It'll probably be one of those. Give me a minute. I want to talk to my crew and my people.
Mhm.
And like I'll be like, step outside, have a drink, whatever you need to do. I don't know. Throw a beloved of a family member off a roof or something. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And once I send her out, I'll turn around and I'll look at the rest and be like, I know what you're thinking. How can you have two women who are that good looking and also that powerful and that in charge? But the second thing you're thinking is what the hell that was. It doesn't matter. It's in the past. We don't deal with past here. But if we had our own personal army, we won't have to worry about raiders so much.
If you had your own personal army, you would not be so concerned with this place anymore, I think.
Now, that's not true, but also it is. That's the question you have to ask. Do you two still want me around?
I don't like you in some ways, but you have kept order.
Thanks, I think. I look over at Doc.
And I think she has the same. Better the all she says is better the devil you know.
There's a moment where I lean in and look really serious. And then I lean slightly towards Mike and I'm like, I don't actually know what that means.
It means, I believe, that change is often bad, and to invite it, even when the current situation is not optimal, is to play dice with the universe. That sort of game is often lost.
All right. I'll open the doors and I'll get my sister to come in. And I'll look at her and I go, it's a deal. I help on one condition. You never step foot in this town again. You don't deal with it. You don't send people to it. You do nothing involved in ever again. I never want to see you again after today.
I think I can live with that.
Good. I'll make plans and leave tomorrow.
Good.
I ting one claw against the glass that that the boss put out for me to acknowledge, the gift. And leave it on the table, of course, because I can't drink, because I can't drink it. It's like, I'm not quite sure how humans can drink that and not just be poisoned. They have strange metabolism.
Awesome. So I think we'd cut there, right? Um, I think we're done with this
I think we're
session.
done.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
What I'd like to do is do like stars and wishes, talk about how things went with the system and all that. So
are we talking in the context of you running this at Gen Con?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you gotta like speed this up by like 2 whole hours.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
The official rule is always if character gen takes longer than 30 minutes, you shouldn't
Right.
do character gen.
Right.
That's always the
for
rule.
Gen Con, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
No matter
So,
and that's 30 minutes from the start time, not like 30 minutes from when you start
Right.
making characters. Like from the actual start time,
Yep.
30 minutes
Right.
fully.
So that's what I was going to be using these practices to generate the pre-generated material.
Well,
Yeah. So,
So this is good. So you're going to basically hand this town and the characters over to the people as we just made them, or
yeah,
suitably
some
modified.
variation of that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing this to like think about, get my headspace of running Apocalypse World, as well as generating a little bit more of the substance so that we can get up and running with the situation, as it were.
I'd recommend you have, if you are doing characters, you have the town already ready with all the details, and you have a growing problem that characters can tie their characters to. Like a problem that's like it's already stated. You're like, right, there's the town, this what's up, this is good, and this is what's bad with it. Tie yourselves to that and we'll tell a story, make your characters from there. And even then, give them characters that don't have too many questions that are open-ended. Like the Lawmaker, great idea, but it can absolutely state what a game is going to be, whether you like it or not.
Right, and that's what I was going to basically give them pre-generated characters.
Okay.
Yeah, just to kind of keep that overhead low, and because I don't know if the people playing this game will have played Apocalypse World or not, so there's going to be a little bit of learning curve. If
I think pre-gens is the way to go. It's too much of a heavy lift for people. In addition to the whole time thing, as Lloyd points out.
I think for most people, it's going to be like getting, if they're not familiar with the setting, kind of giving them enough of that information so they feel comfortable jumping in and playing.
I might suggest too, once these characters are fleshed out, adding a couple additional characters that you build, because generally that way you have, I always like that there's a few more choices than people, right?
Yep.
Because then people don't feel like oh crap, I have to do this, right?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and stuff. But I think we'll give you enough stuff here that you could create a gear cutter, you could create a couple others that vibe with the
Mhm.
what we've already done here.
Yep.
Yeah, I always find that you have to be more railroady it definitely have to be way more railroady in a con game, right? Because it's one and done and that's it. So
Yeah. I have to make the situation more hard framed. Yep.
Yeah, I adore the setting. But you know, to reinforce what Lloyd says, you really have to deliver it to them in really ultra condensed format. You know, bang, 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 this is the thing. And then this is this, you know, here's the situation. And it starts off instead started off with a bang. I mean, you know, started off with a charged uh thing going
Situation.
on. Yeah, yeah.
The other thing you can do is, you know, your whole like town and everything else there, right? What you do is that you label all the towns and other places. You give them provocative names, like not just the bank, like Sister's Bank
Sure.
or the Pits or whatever you
Yep.
need. You give it pre-gens, and then whenever they go to somewhere, they need to go somewhere new. You go look at the areas, name a place, and give me a statement about the place.
Mhm.
And then you have progressive charge generation as you're going along when you need it.
Okay.
So you have a charge situation, and then so you don't do anything like the extra areas around it. You don't do any of that. You only all you and you don't put any details in for it or the descriptions. You just put a name down, and that's it. That's all they get, just the name, and it's up to them to figure it out.
Yeah, and as far as all the locations done, you know, cutting it down to one,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, there's a whole bunch of places in the world, and it's like, but that's not what this,
Sure.
that's not what today's about. You know, um, it's just like, you know, in a you know TV show or movie, right? That
Yep.
when they start, it's like, yeah, there's a whole world, and they don't explain it
Mhm.
in, you know, the first several episodes. They just let you pick it up as you go along.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Any stars or
So
anything? I thought overall, like everyone did a great job embodying their characters in the world, and Brandon for really embodying an alien in many ways with descriptions and vocals and everything. Great job. Uh, Lloyd really picking up on the sort of um, almost like scoundrel lawmaker. Like I don't know
Well,
how
I mean,
else. Yeah.
like if you're gonna play Apocalypse World, you've got to. I'm like, guys, we gotta remember that the world is terrible, but also funny, because that's what space opera is now. Space opera is Firefly now, so you have to tie yourself to that.
And then the doc was very compassionate, like very like serene and compassionate, which was great.
Stars, everyone as always. Big shout out to Brandon for, although clearly being like, I'm so fucking stuck with these plebs, going with the voice all the way through it. Like, don't even pretend you weren't. The whole time he's like, oh my god, I'm in a pocket one connoisseur. I'm stuck with Lloyd. What is this? I cannot
I'm not
hear
stuck with you, Lloyd.
my thesis.
I think you're incredibly clever and quick on so much of this sort of thing. It just there's a couple places where it's like you're just so, you know, fast off the mark that it took me a moment to kind of like wrap my head around it. But it's been great. But it's great. I love your creativity.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Uh,
So don't think I'm bucking it. I'm just getting used to it.
Absolutely
Um,
fine. But also, if you bucked it, that's also fine. By the way, just a heads up.
no,
I'm
I
very,
don't. It's just
I fully respect if I rub it the wrong way. Double shout out to the doc. I wish I'd had more scenes with you. That's my
yeah.
only real wish. I was like,
I want doc stuff
yeah.
because that parlays into so much other things. Really,
Hmm.
you know,
If the
the
plot
doc's
had
the
been, sorry, go on.
sorry, the doc has such a you know strong reason to. It's like I have to go in there and help kind of thing, and it's a very much a drag other people along with them. Um, sort of thing, and I want to see some of that. I want to see a threat to the garden. Of course, I do. Or to, you know, some of my children, because that's what the Undawn is about.
Hmm.
The children are either trouble or they are threatened, right? Or both. And then the claws really come out. Not that they ever get put away.
My wish is that I wish I could fuck with the other players more. As David already knows from our Smallville game, I am a big fan of ruining friendships in real life from fucking with players in game. Not because I'm mean, but because that's why I think the good story is that I wish I got more chance to be like, oh man, I can't wait to accidentally put your children in danger or to ruin your water supply or
Oh
do
yeah,
any of those other
absolutely. You
things. I
know,
just didn't get
I would have,
if I had more time, I'd be like, I want to get to that part, but we just didn't have the time for it, which is a
oh,
showcase of
oh
Apocalypse World
yeah.
is a great game, but it's the best when you've taken your time and get to know each other and you know what to do from there.
I have no trouble with, things going right up to open warfare.
Yeah, I don't.
As long as,
It's
as
mutual and fun and
as long
not
as it's mutual.
disrespectful.
That's it.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it to the point where it's like I'm just picking on you. But I'll be like, yeah, I'm 100% putting your kids in danger because that's what the game should be about. I should be
If I don't
and
end up,
conflict.
if I don't end up pointing a pulse rifle at the boss at some point,
It'll be
then
for
I
real, but
might be
no.
slightly disappointed. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily going to fire it. It's just like,
All right, Joe. Any
Yeah, no,
thoughts?
I think I Brandon always comes up with great characters and everything like that. So I love these games with you, Brandon, because there's a depth to everything you do, which is cool. I like that. And I love Lloyd. I think it's 100% what you're portraying is actually what in my mind every like uh lawmaker sort of person would be like in a post-apocalypse, right? I mean, nobody's, the world has made us all something different, right? And
Mm,
it's not a nice place, right? You don't become like I say about politicians, you don't get there by being nice, and so we should all know that, right? So and honestly, my only wish would be you maybe you should put this back on the calendar uh after Gen Con so we can
play through it.
dig in a little more
yeah,
and
Yeah.
and stuff, because
I,
it's a very interesting I think it's a very interesting setting, um more interesting than some of the standard whoops we blew ourselves up apocalypses, right? It's a and it would be it like the only regret is not being it. There's no time to have all of the scenes that we all said that we kind of want to have, right? So
Hmm.
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, I'll double that. I think that this setting is extraordinary, and much more interesting than most apocalypse world settings, and I'd love, a better chance to explore it more than superficially. It just even in the setup here, there's all these implications of all of this, the stuff that's out there that's not sort of vague. Oh, you might find something weird. No, we're going to find, xenoforms, and we're going to find remnants of, crashed, military vessels, or, bizarre technology we don't understand, or that giant fungus thing, you know, for God's sake, the reef. Um, it's like there's so much kind of, if not defined, if the clearly outlined strangeness and wonderfulness to the world. That isn't just, oh, okay, let's just make something up on the spot, which it still allows for plenty of creativity, but gives so much to work off of. And if you do it longer, I'd love to see that. For this, one, of course, I just want, heavy conflict, because that's
Right, right, right.
what makes the game. And I agree also with Joe entirely, that I viewed, the lawmaker, or in the old apocalypse world, the heart holder. They're always bastards, because nobody else could hold a place together.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. I mean, there are too many hard decisions that if your heart didn't start out flinty, it would get that way.
Mhm.
Either, you were kind of a nasty person to start with, or at least a ruthless person to start with, or you become one. Because otherwise somebody else takes your stuff. and destroys the order you have. And, so I'm really good with that.
Great, great. Thank you all very much. This was a pleasure. Do I have permission to post this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you all so very much. There's going to be another session of this, whether or not it's a continuation or a new thing, just depends on who's there, right? Um, but I am interested in running a short campaign at some point once I get through some things after the Gen Con. But thank you all so very much. It was a pleasure, and I learned a lot and really love what you brought to this. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe,
David,
keep me posted on stuff. Definitely.
Yeah. Have a good one.
David,
You
this is
yes.
once again the last time I'm seeing you. So enjoy. I hope you have the rest. Enjoy the next 2 years, and I'll see you in about 3 or 4 more. Like we always, I'll see you in about 3 or 4 years, David. Next game.
Yep. Yep.
As we
We'll
always
meet
do.
up. We'll
That's
meet
the
up
way it is.
again.
We
We'll
know
meet
the
up
plan. We know the
again.
pattern. See you
Thank
then.
you. Thank you for being there for me. All right. Thank you, everyone. Brandon and Joe and Lloyd. Take care.
Bye,
Take
See you
care,
guys.
guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.